Weather Service is starting to tone that down right now into southwestern Michigan, Berrien County at least, for the potential of maybe some isolated damaging wind gusts to 60 miles per hour. But right now our main focus is on the tornado warning right now, which is impacting areas across southern Fulton County. That is the only tornado warning we actively have across Michiana. And we continue to analyze the latest radar data as this continues to move on through. Jack, I'm still not seeing anything right now that screams that there's a tornado likely out there, rather some isolated pockets of some circulation as this is moving on through. And in fact, right now, if you're watching us again from downtown Rochester, right along the US 31 curve, the radar trying to highlight as well, not associated with any tornado, but rather just straight line damaging wind of some isolated wind gusts that could be in excess of around 70, 75 miles per hour. So a very dangerous storm right now, about ready to cross the southern tier of the US 31 corridor in Michiana. Rochester down towards Fulton right now. Plan for the possibility of at least some brief rotation with this, but I want you to plan for widespread damaging wind gusts that could be anywhere from 60 to maybe upwards of 75 miles per hour.
And Andrew, we just got a new storm report in down there in Fulton County. This is State Road 10 and Range Road. We have reports of pea-sized hail, 50 to 60 looks like knots, which that's going to be right around 55 to 65 mile an hour wind. You know, pretty aggressive wind. That is severe wind gusts right there. And then small, right around 1 inch in diameter branches that have been broken as this large line of thunderstorms is moving through. The good news is that's not really substantial damage, but that is substantial wind speed, something that you were just hitting on right there, showing those 70 mile an hour wind gusts associated with the Fulton County tornado warning. Again, we would like to say that it is still going to be a radar indicated tornado warning, as we are seeing really strong wind speeds with that portion of the storm. That portion of the storm is actually going to be the strongest kind of section, if you will, of this thunderstorm that is slowly but surely moving through Michiana. It looks like we did get a brand new severe thunderstorm warning going all the way out to Kosciuszko County, up through portions of Marshall County as well, well in advance, well letting people know that this large and dangerous thunderstorm is going to be moving through. My main guess is just because the storm is moving very quickly, very gusty, National Weather Service wants to put out as much lead time as possible to let those folks know, hey, if you're outside right now doing any sort of plans, it's time to pack it up, head inside. Not because everybody's going to be seeing tornadoes today, not going to be the case whatsoever, but that you're going to be seeing widespread gusty winds and also, a lot of lightning associated with this storm. That new that new severe thunderstorm warning looks like we have 70 mile an hour wind gusts, something that Andrew obviously was just talking about, and looking like some smaller hail is going to be possible with this storm. In addition to that, because this portion of the storm down to our south here, I'll blow it up for everybody so we could see a little clearer there. There we go, is also going to be warned for potentially having an embedded tornado with it, just because of that tornado warning that's over Fulton right now. The good news is that it doesn't look like the National Weather Service has extended that warning yet. We can see that that leading edge of the storm has actually left the warning box there, which is right over Fulton. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they did extend that, just to kind of give, again, some folks saying, hey, this is going to be the most dangerous portion of the storm, giving them some heads up, giving them some warning time as well. But again, this main new severe thunderstorm warning has pretty much been put out just to block off the next county, which obviously going to be Kosciuszko County and portions of Marshall County as well, for the fact that a stronger thunderstorm will be moving through. Andrew, I don't think there's been any more advancement on the northern extent of that storm.
No, there hasn't. If we get back here into first alert weather here, again, we are analyzing the storm rotation, if you will. And I've kind of pinpointed here on radar what it's trying to think for some of these estimated radar wind speeds. And we're getting radar gust estimating anywhere from around 30, 40 miles per hour with the southern portion of this storm, which right now is our most severe portion of the storm. If there is going to be damaging wind right now, it is south of the US 31 corridor as far as on a more wide scale side scale. If you live north of US 30, I think overall it's going to be very more isolated in coverage for damaging wind. So that's some good news. But if you're south of US 30, we're talking around Argus, Rochester, Fulton right now, and we're going to go ahead and first alert ahead. If you're over towards Warsaw and Silver Lake, be prepared that the worst part of the storm will begin to move through your location, where that severe thunderstorm warning was just allowed to be extended. I'm still not seeing anything on the storm rotation here that screams that there is a tornado on the ground. That doesn't mean there can't be at least a brief isolated tornado out there right now across the southern half here of Fulton County. But right now, I'm just not seeing anything within this polygon box here that screams out that there is a tornado on the ground within this. So something we're going to keep watching here in First Alert weather. And this tornado warning goes into effect and stays out for about the next 10 minutes or so. And you're seeing brand new scans coming on in here with the radar map here. And just with that newest scan here, just kind of analyzing the data. Again, as I'm seeing it is when you're seeing it as well here. And what I'm seeing right now based on the velocity factor here, the storm rotation, if you will, again, I'm still not seeing anything that screams that, hey, there's a tornado on the ground right now. There's been no ground truth to this, radar indicated. And right there, you just saw the National Weather Service. They just went ahead and canceled the tornado warning. So the tornado warning that was in effect down towards Fulton, just south of Rochester, due to the fact that, again, we really weren't seeing any tight circulations out there, the National Weather Service has now allowed that thunderstorm or that tornado warning to expire. What they've exchanged that with, though, is a damaging wind threat that they have extended from Argus, Rochester, Fulton, Silver Lake over towards Warsaw, Pierceton areas, including right around Syracuse is the end of that. And what I want us to focus on here is the wind speed within this as well. Look at Rochester. If you're in Rochester right now, you likely had some very heavy rainfall as well as some very gusty wind moving on through. And what we're analyzing right now in First Alert Weather Radar is the potential of these damaging wind gusts right now, right around the US 31 corridor around Rochester. The radar trying to pinpoint some of these damaging wind gusts around 60, 70, maybe as high as near 80 miles per hour. So even though the tornado warning has been allowed to expire, if you're in Fulton County right now or Kosciuszko County, if you're south of US 30, now's the time to plan for these damaging thunderstorms to impact your location and take shelter. So we're talking to you if you live over in Akron, if you live over towards Silver Lake, now's your time to seek shelter, even Warsaw as well from these showers and thunderstorms. I want to refocus, though, why I have the wind speed up with this and focus on what is going back upstream right now as these showers and thunderstorms are starting to move on in and across the US 31 corridor. Right now, I'm not seeing anything that is too crazy as far as the wind speeds go. And not to say there can't be an isolated gust of wind around 60 miles per hour, but I'm just not seeing anything in LaPorte, Stark, up towards St. Joe, over towards Marshall County that screams really widespread severe weather. Most of these gusts that the radar are trying to sample are around 20 to 40 miles per hour. Again, there could be an isolated area as these showers begin to try to change their dynamics here, where there could be one or two brief isolated gusts to 60 miles per hour. I want to get you back up to speed here with what's going on, though, with the radar. Due to the fact that we've got some very heavy rainfall moving on in. Here at our WNDU studios, we can hear some lightning ongoing right now. And Jack, while I'm talking here, if you can get some of these tower cameras trying to face off towards LaPorte, down towards the US 20 bypass.
Sure.
You should be able to see some lightning flashes coming on in as these showers and thunderstorms continues again to work their way now right along the US 31 corridor. The dangerous portion of this storm, though, we'll continue to stop this here, is still down around Rochester, down towards Warsaw area. If you're in this circle shaded area, this is where the most intense portion, the most destructive portion, if you will, of this storm will be. If you live north of the circle shaded area, north of US 20, plan for several rounds of some very heavy rainfall, some lightning, maybe a gust of wind that could be anywhere from 40 to 60 miles per hour. But the greatest threat here for a few wind gusts that could be in excess of 60 miles per hour are down right now across southern Marshall and Fulton County, about ready to enter into Kosciuszko County. So if you're in Warsaw right now, Silver Lake area, now's now's your time frame to again get ready to take shelter from this dangerous thunderstorm as it does continue to move its way towards the east here. And check out some of these bright colors here.
Yeah.
Where we've seen these brighter colors, that's an indication of where these wind speeds at the radar level are likely producing with it some damaging wind right now. So just south of Argus right now, down around Rochester, along Highway or Indiana 19, likely getting ready for some wind gusts right now that are in excess of 60 miles per hour as that continues to move its way towards the east. And it looks like Stark, Indiana here, a reported wind gust right now of 58 miles per hour, and heavy rain led to near zero visibility over into Stark County. So as we mentioned here, about an hour ago in first alert weather, with these showers and thunderstorms, it's blinding rain. So regardless if you get a wind gust to 20 miles per hour or a wind gust up to 70 miles per hour, it's the type of rain that you have to pull off the side of the road and you have to wait out these showers and thunderstorms. So if you're watching us right now in the WNDU First Alert Weather app, if you're at work right now, you're likely going to want to wait until these showers and thunderstorms moves out of Michiana due to the fact that we've got some torrential, blinding rainfall moving through the area right now. The worst part, the heaviest part of these thunderstorms right now, right along almost the heart of the US 31 corridor, back up and around the port and Michigan City. And these will continue to move their way towards the north and east, with the worst part of this storm right now down around Rochester and about ready to approach Silver Lake and over towards Warsaw. Strongest part of this storm south of US 30 in regards to the potential of some wind gusts that could be in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour. Further north, if you're watching us from Plymouth, Knox, LaPorte, South Bend, Elkhart, up towards southwestern Michigan, Berrien County, over towards Cass County, we can't rule out a few isolated areas where there could be maybe some brief wind gusts that could be in excess of 60 miles per hour. But I really do believe right now that the worst part of the storm is south of US 30, and I expect that's where the worst part of this storm will stay. First Alert meteorologist Jack Van Meter, he's been adjusting a few of our First Alert weather cameras. Jack, what are you seeing right now? You're likely able to see on a few of our weather cameras kind of centered around Michiana of these storms moving on in.
Yeah, exactly. As we can see, a bit of a contrast in the sky behind me. This camera right on top of our own WNDU studios. And what we're seeing is a shelf cloud that is starting to move through portions of the area. This is going to be that leading edge of the leading line of the severe thunderstorms that we're seeing through Michiana. And what this really is kind of a big wall of wind that is starting to move out. What happens is you get kind of a mini cold front, or a mini boundary, if you will, that forms out in front of the line of showers, because all the wind rushing out of the storms going out in front of it, and it's cooler air because it's rain cooled air. It'll go down to the surface and really kind of kick up and wedge up a lot of the hot and humid air, and you get this really cool cloud formation. And it does look fairly scary, but it's there to tell you, hey, you know what? It's time to go inside. Going to get a little bumpy within the next few hours. There's another great shot of it down on the south side of South Bend. We can see that this line of showers moving through. There's going to be that shelf cloud right behind me, and we can't see really wispy clouds out in front of it. What that is called is actually scud, and it's just clouds that really haven't gotten their act together whatsoever and have just forming in this very, very hot and very humid environment. Let's see if we have another view. This time, let's go ahead and go out to Lake Michigan, back to St. Joe, Michigan, where we're seeing pretty gray conditions. I don't think we're seeing any sort of rainfall up there. I know out in Michigan City, we were seeing those rainy conditions moving through. There you go. Remember what Andrew just said with that storm report that came in that said, yeah, near zero visibility. Obviously, this was down in Fulton County. Yeah, this is up in Michigan City, over in LaPorte County, seeing very, very limited visibility as of now. And this is just due to really heavy rain. You can't even really tell that Lake Michigan is out there. And actually, that's kind of cool. Right in front of our eyes, that system really just moving through there, really clouding our view, really inhibiting us from actually seeing Lake Michigan just because of the really, really heavy and torrential rain that we are seeing there. Let's go ahead and go back and check out our shelf cloud image. Yeah, there you go. Really well defined over me right now. Yeah, that's a great image. It's something that's kind of cool to see from a meteorological perspective, but also it's meant as nature's warning for you to, time to head inside, even though it does look pretty cool. Let's see how it all adds adds up to our radar image and actually where folks are seeing the rain and the showers. Just to zoom in the map here, WNDU right to the north of downtown South Bend. So seeing just again right before that leading edge of storms, that's where that shelf cloud is going to be present, and it's moving through the area kind of at the crossroads of two separate severe thunderstorm warnings of very gusty conditions. We're seeing 60-mile-an-hour wind coming out of the northern extent of the severe thunderstorms, and as I zoom out the radar, we can see more gusty conditions going to be for southern Michigan. We're talking Plymouth south and going over to Kosciuszko County out there in Warsaw. If I were living in Warsaw right now, I would urge everybody to try and get inside. It's going to be getting just a little windy over there, Andrew.
Yeah, Jack, and some good points that you made there. A report coming in now from the emergency manager down in Marshall County. He said as the storm passed through downtown Plymouth, really wasn't too bad. Yes, there was some blinding rain, but there was no very strong wind gust that did a lot of damage. So that's some good news. Most of this will likely be a bigger bark than bite, meaning some very torrential heavy rainfall, lots of lightning as this continues to move on into South Bend, Elkhart, down towards Plymouth, and even into southwestern Michigan as well. I've not forgotten about you into southwestern Michigan, but right now you're looking at the least severe portion of the storm. So that's some good news. If you're watching us right now up into southwestern Michigan, Berrien Springs, Niles, St. Joe, over towards Stevensville, Benton Harbor, Dowagiac, Cassopolis, prepare for some very heavy rainfall, maybe some pea-sized hail, as well as some gusty wind speed that could be anywhere from around 40 to 60 miles per hour. The most, if you would, the most intense portion of this storm right now is down around Argus, Bourbon, down around Silver Lake, and about ready to approach Warsaw. And I do want to focus now with some of these wind gusts here. In fact, around Tippecanoe, the radar was trying to highlight that there could have been a few wind gusts that could have been in excess of around 60 to 70 miles per hour. And where you're seeing those blues, that's an indication around Bourbon, around Tippecanoe, where there could be at least a few isolated wind gusts that could be producing damage in excess of around 60, 65 miles per hour. You see a brand new scan here coming into First Alert Weather Radar. Still trying to highlight now as this is now leaving Fulton County and entering into Kosciuszko County, where there could be a few wind gusts in excess of around 60 to 70 miles per hour. Widening out this map here, what we don't want to see is the blues. The blues are an indication of where there are some damaging wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour, and most of that right now is centered south of US 30. Moving this way back up towards the north across 4 northern Indiana along the US 20 bypass back into southwestern Michigan. I'm just not seeing anything on the storm rotation scan that either A, highlights a rotation, not seeing any of that right now, and B, I'm not seeing anything that screams damaging wind gust in excess of 60 miles per hour. But certainly these showers and thunderstorms are producing quite a bit of rainfall ongoing right now. And in fact, we're dealing with some very heavy rainfall now moving into South Bend, the South Bend International Airport, over towards Notre Dame, and dealing with some very, very heavy rainfall starting to move on into a portion of the area. And we're going to take a look at some various First Alert weather cameras here.
There you go.
Free car wash ongoing right now in downtown South Bend. These cameras really needed to be dust off, and Mother Nature is giving us quite the soaking rain right now. Some of us need more additional rain, but if you're over towards Granger, Edwardsburg, you really don't need much in the way of rainfall after yesterday's strong storm moved through Granger and over towards Edwardsburg. You can see the leading edge here of this baby, very weak shelf cloud, and usually what that means is it's just the gust front, if you will, of the storms moving on in. Typically, when you see these fronts moving on through these squall lines here, typically they do produce with it some gusty wind speeds in excess of 40 miles per hour. And also our First Alert weather camera on the bottom left-hand corner, right-hand corner of your screen down towards Notre Dame, where we should be looking at least a portion of downtown South Bend in the image there. Not seeing much in the way of downtown South Bend with these heavy pockets of showers really moving on into town. I'm going to re-widen out this map here. And again, if you're north of US 30, outside of this being a traditional thunderstorm with some very intense rainfall, not seeing much in the way of a damage threat right now with the storm. The worst part of this storm right now is kind of centered south of US 30, if you will, down around Mentone, Silver Lake, and heads up into Warsaw for some quick damaging wind gusts that could be in excess of 60 miles per hour. So if you're in Warsaw, over towards Pierceton, over towards Silver Lake, now's your time now to go seek shelter and wait wait out the arrival of these storms as they continue to move on through. The radar is still trying to estimate right now, right along Indiana 19, that there still could be at least an isolated pocket of around 60, 65 miles per hour. We're getting a fresh new scan on in here into first alert weather, and it's starting to lessen at least that more widespread wind threat south of US 30, more isolated, if you will. And north of US 30, I'm not seeing any blues, which would scream widespread gusts to 60 miles per hour. Just not seeing that right now. So for the most part, Jack, most of this is just very heavy rainfall and a lot of lightning moving through the US 31 corridor. Jack, if you can, though, can you recap the severe thunderstorm warning, the actual timestamp for that over into Kosciuszko County, and if you can, try to time that out as it moves on into Warsaw. It should be arriving in Warsaw over the course of the next few minutes here, Jack.
Yeah, no, it's going to be expiring at 4:45 p.m. So just a little before the 5 o'clock hour. That's where we're going to be seeing the strongest portion of the storm move through. And I keep on saying that the strongest portion of the storm is going to be for our more southerly communities here in Michigan. And we're going to be talking about this severe thunderstorm warning. Let me go ahead and zoom into the map here so we can actually highlight some of the communities that will actually be impacted by the strongest portion of the storm here. Again, that's just going to be a term that we use over and over and over again. So we can see that the leading line of the storm right through Leesburg, right through Warsaw as we speak. So let's go ahead and time it out. This storm is moving right around 50 miles an hour. Again, the strongest part of that storm is, and here's going to be your timings. Here's going to be the communities that need to be thinking about getting inside and going to the most interior room of your building or home that you are in right now. At 4:21, the storm will be in Warsaw. That's right now, fun fact. So you should be already inside. You got plenty of warning time for this very gusty thunderstorm that is moving through the area. Sydney going to be right around 4:28, so a little bit before 30. On the flip side, a little after 4:30, that's where North Webster will be getting this thunderstorm. North Webster, fun fact, is also where our radar site is located. That's where we get all of our data. Of course, that is going to be the headquarters for the National Weather Service that covers our entire viewing area here in northern Indiana and southwestern Michigan for that matter. 4:36, South Whitney going to be getting that thunderstorm. Sparta getting it at 4:38, and finally Columbia City out here just to the west of Fort Wayne. That storm will be moving in right around 4:44. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning is actually set to expire right around 4:45. So that's when pretty much we're watching that leading line to be moving on, and that leading line, the southern portion of this storm, is really the only storm that we're somewhat concerned about, just because we're seeing the really gusty winds associated, and that's pretty much the only damage that we've gotten into the First Alert Weather Center to as well. Let me see if we've gotten any updates. It doesn't look like we have whatsoever. Obviously, that's good news there. Let's go ahead and toggle on the radar with those warnings, and we can kind of talk through what we're seeing here. The northern extent of the line, yes, there's still that severe thunderstorm warning out for portions of Berrien County and northern LaPorte and St. Joe County, Indiana. But we can see how kind of broken apart those yellows and oranges are, and a lot of it is just dark green. That's good news. That means that northern part of the storm hasn't really gotten its act together, if you will, and is kind of disorganized. Unfortunately, on the flip side, is if we go down here south of US 6, that's where we're going to be watching for a stronger, more gusty part of the storm, and where we're going to be seeing that strongest line, where we're going to be seeing the highest wind speeds, where we're also going to be seeing the highest rain totals. That's going to be down here in Kosciuszko County, just to the south of Elkhart County, going to be getting in on some pretty heavy rainfall as well. Napanee, Syracuse might be seeing some pretty heavy rainfall too. And you can see how well defined that line is. Andrew was talking about it just a little bit ago, of just how that backward C, almost that bow echo, something that we're still seeing on the southern part of the storm here. You can see from Leesburg all the way down to Silver Lake, see how it bows out to Warsaw and then comes back to Silver Lake. The reason we're seeing that is because of the really gusty winds associated with it, really kind of pushing out that front part of the storm, causing the bow out there by Warsaw and kind of bringing it back by Silver Lake. Andrew, you have a update for us?
Yeah, we just want to get a first alert weather look here of a few of our first alert weather cameras. Looking at State Road 933 right now, just outside of our WNDU studios. The rain seems like it's coming down in buckets right now. You see all the cars out there. They have their lights on, obviously, with the darker skies around and the heavy rainfall. Want to show you, though, what it looks like right now with our first alert weather camera in Mishawaka. We should be able to see Douglas and Maine right now. Free car wash. Hopefully you didn't waste your money today and get a car wash. Due to the fact that Mother Nature is doing that for you right now, some very heavy rainfall moving on through the US 31 corridor and will continue to move eastward right now. But just check out all the heavy rainfall right now ongoing over in Mishawaka with our first alert weather camera. And this is something our first alert weather team has been stressing, that with all the extra humidity in the air, very heavy rainfall, blinding rainfall, if you will, would be likely with these showers and thunderstorms as they continue to move on in. And that is what we're seeing right now. Some very, very heavy rainfall moving through Mishawaka right now and Michiana. It's the type of rainfall that you do not want to be caught up in right now. So if you're in Elkhart, Goshen, LaGrange, Middlebury, Shipshewana, over towards Bristol, Sturgis, Cassopolis, to Wajak, if you're going to try to get anywhere, you need to do so within the next 5 or 10 minutes. This is the type of rain that you don't want to drive in. It's very dangerous to drive in this type of rain. Very, very heavy rainfall ongoing right now. Want to take a look at what it looks like right now over into Elkhart. And in Elkhart right now, much different picture. You can actually make out the streets, the vehicles right now, all the dark clouds just off to your west. And that right there is the shower and thunderstorm that is over South Bend, Mishawaka, and Granger as I speak, producing with it some very, very heavy rainfall. Here's what it looks like over downtown South Bend, where the free car wash just got underway, and up into St. Joe, up into southwestern Michigan, dealing with the waterworks as well, with these stronger showers and thunderstorms continuing to move on in.
You got a new,
yeah, I'm just seeing that right now, Jack. Looks like wind to 70 miles per hour just re-updated and now includes Elkhart. So we're going to get back on in here into first alert weather here, and they have extended that warning. The worst part of the storm, which we were mentioning, which was right around and south of US 30. Now we're starting to get a little indication here of a little bit of a backward sea here. So the National Weather Service has put out a brand new severe thunderstorm warning until 4:45 p.m. And it does include areas like Napanee, Warsaw, Syracuse, Goshen, Shipshewana, over towards LaGrange. And in fact, till 5 p.m., Jack, it looks like right there. Sorry for that little confusion there, but till 5 p.m. We typically should be right now in our 4 o'clock newscast, but here in First Alert Weather, we're keeping you safe here. Your family, your friends here, we're keeping you safe here in First Alert Weather this evening with live First Alert Weather Day coverage. We're not going to be on the air until the storm exits Michiana, at least up until 5 p.m. here. So we're going to stay with you here as this shower and thunderstorm continues to move on through. You see First Alert meteorologist Jack Van Meter here trying to switch over some radar products here, moving on through, and some very heavy rainfall, Jack. Yeah. And if we can kind of move this so we get more of Warsaw, Leesburg, and view here. And again, there's some very heavy rainfall moving on through right now with some lightning. And what we're looking at here is kind of this backward sea just south of Napanee right here, just south of US 6 here, impacting Leesburg, Warsaw right now with some very heavy rainfall. If you're watching us right now in Warsaw, you're likely having to turn your smartphone or your TV almost on full blast just to hear me talk with the very heavy rainfall moving on through the US 31 corridor in Warsaw. And again, what I want to take a look at here is a sample of the wind speeds. And there's a tiny little area here of a quick downburst wind gust that is trying to show on up right along Highway 15 between Warsaw and Leesburg, where the radar, we're just trying to take a few samples here of the radar map here, trying to sample where there could be a few isolated wind gusts 30 to 40, maybe even an isolated wind gust in excess of 60 miles per hour.
And Andrew, I would like to also jump in real quick. The reason I was messing with your radar just a little bit there was the storms have also picked up on their speed and intensity. They were moving right around 50 50 miles an hour. It's just been updated to moving at 60 miles an hour. And that's a big jump, and it's something that we are seeing as the storms start to move into a more energy rich, more moist and more humid environment. They're starting to expand out, but also they're expanding out and moving very, very quickly. Do we have a new one there?
Yeah, we got a new warning here. If we can come back to me real quick, I can see why. As you were talking here, I was just analyzing some fresh data here. Bobby, if we can come back to me, please, on the radar here. We're analyzing this right here, just south of Napanee, right along and just south of US 6 and Highway 19, where there is some radar indicated rotation with this brand new tornado warning here. I'll try to pop it on for you if you can, so you can kind of see where this goes out to. Radar indicated, so that's the good news. There's been no ground truth of anything on the ground, but just enough subtle uptick in this of some rotation right now just south of US 6. And this continues to move its way towards the east and northeast. In fact, we're going to kind of put this on here just so you can kind of see that rotation that has really spiked, and really our best analyzed picture here with First Alert radar this afternoon of at least some brief rotation moving on through. So this is going to continue, Jack. I think, do we have a estimated time frame on this, on how fast it's moving? Looks like about 40-45 miles per hour as it continues to move its way towards the south and east. And I'm going to widen this out here after I walk you through a few towns here. If you're in Gravelton, Milford, or Milford Junction, you need to go ahead and take cover right now. So if you're in Milford right now, you need to go to your safety location. You're within minutes here of some possible rotation as this tornado warning continues to go on off. I wouldn't be surprised right now if the sirens are going across a portion of Kosciuszko County as well as a portion of Elkhart County due to this tornado warning. And it is rather a large polygon taking shape here. Very large, if you will, real estate being taken up by this tornado warning, which goes for another half an hour. What the Weather Service is worried about is maybe some isolated brief rotation right around Leesburg, just south of Highway 15. But in my opinion right now, the most dangerous portion of this storm, if there were to be a funnel cloud, a wall cloud, if you will, would be right now just towards the south and east of Napanee. Now, if you're in Napanee, this is moving away from you, not towards you. This is moving away from you. If you're in Gravelton, down towards Hastings, Milford, that's where there is some brief rotation. And you notice how a brand new scan there of the radar map really tries to get rid of some of that stronger rotation. But again, I still would not be surprised, and do not let your guard down if there is still yet an isolated, at least wall cloud with this, as it does continue to move its way towards the north and east as it continues to move its way through Kosciuszko and a portion of Elkhart County. But nonetheless, if you're in Elkhart County right now, Kosciuszko County, you are likely again hearing the tornado sirens going on off. So something we're going to continue to watch. And it looks like here, NDOT shared a video a little while ago, it looks like, of maybe a brief spin-up tornado along US 30 and State Road 39 over into LaPorte as the showers and thunderstorms moved on through, going back over towards LaPorte County. I'm not seeing anything that screams that out. Our First Alert weather team and our 16 News Now team, they're going to take a closer look at that storm report from NDOT and see if we can obtain that video to share with you. Jack, analyzing the velocity right now, outside of those few scans earlier on when this was issued, where it did kind of look like there could at least be some broad rotation, at least the last few scans have wanted to tone that down just a touch. But if you're in Milford, Hastings, and over towards New Paris, you do need to take shelter at this time. This is your chance now, again, to go to your storm safety location, wait for these storms to move on in. Jack, are you seeing anything different than what I have mentioned here briefly? No, it's looking pretty spot on, Andrew. Again, just that one area of rotation just to the east there of Napanee. Again, if you're in Napanee, you should be all good in terms of radar indicated rotation. I'll go ahead and zoom in the map over here by that little indicator that says 6 over by Gavelton. And that's where we're going to be seeing some of the wind rushing back into the storm underneath this tornado warning that the National Weather Service has issued just a little bit ago, going all the way up till 5 o'clock. The storm, as
itself is moving very, very quickly, right around 60 miles an hour. Now, in the tornado warning, it's moving just a little slower, right around 45 miles an hour, just to kind of give you that perspective. And Andrew, you were talking about a wall cloud earlier. I just wanted to go on and explain what an actual wall cloud is. That's going to be the actual area in the storm that is going to be rotating, that is actually going to be spinning a little bit. Something that is probably going to be present just to the east there of Galveston. We'll go ahead and put a track on there, and let's see when communities can be seeing this more dangerous portion of the storm kind of take fold. I've got the storm speed set at right around 45 miles an hour. We'll go ahead and track this out for folks. Again, Napanee, if you're watching from there, you should be all good. The most dangerous portion of the storm has already passed you by. New Paris, right around 7 minutes. That's where we're going to be seeing this area of rotation move into your neck of the woods. Syracuse, right around 11 minutes, and Millersburg, 16 minutes. So again, this storm very quickly is moving through much, if not all, of Michiana, and this most dangerous portion.
I want to interrupt you really quickly. And Josh, short with you guys. I've been sitting here at the desk listening to you guys with your outstanding coverage. Really and truly, thank you for that. I am hearing basically on Facebook through several different comments here of sirens going off in Warsaw. I just want to see if you guys saw anything there. This says we're also getting pictures from Granger, literally in the last couple of seconds as well. Pictures of downed trees. And you guys also mentioned damage in LaPorte County. But I just wanted to see if you guys were seeing anything in, around, or near Warsaw at this hour. We're just seeing, again, some reports in the last 2 minutes on Facebook of that. I don't know what you guys are seeing. Andrew, I don't know what you're seeing out there.
Yeah. So again, Josh, you and I were briefly chatting here while Jack was doing a tremendous job here keeping it on the radar for us. We're in constant communication with the National Weather Service and the emergency managers, and they are reporting that there are several trees down, including trees down into power lines around the west and south side there of Warsaw. And that was the damaging wind portion of the storm, where we did give Warsaw several minutes of lead time to again protect them from damaging wind. And it looks like there are several damage reports starting to come on in of trees and power lines and trees that are down on the south and western side of Warsaw. This is something that our 16 News Now team is going to further analyze. Also, another storm report coming in as well, Broadway Street and First Street in Argus. As these storms move their way through US 31, it looks like there was a tree down, two large trees down on Broadway Street and First Street down in Argus. So something we're going to keep watching here in First Alert.
Did you see that new one, Andrew, that just came through?
A tree was down onto a power line, which resulted in a fire. Unfortunately, it was a live power line. The tree came down and obviously again sparked a spark there. So not good news for those folks down in Warsaw. We don't want to hear about any damage, and unfortunately it looks like Warsaw, we're getting several reports of trees down on roads, trees down on power lines. So again, something our First Alert weather team and our 16 News Now team is going to investigate further. But Josh, right now, if you're still listening, again, it looks like we have a lot of damage coming in right now from around southern and central portions of Kosciuszko County, especially in and around the Warsaw area. So that's something our team will continue to analyze for you. I want to rehash out here
really quickly, guys. There are those power outages coming in now, a lot of them coming in from the south side, obviously LaPorte County as well. So the western part of St. Joe and a little bit in southwest Michigan too. It looks like well over 1,500 people in all in those areas that I just mentioned are without power. So you guys talked about those strong winds. Things have picked up out there.
Yeah, things have picked up. And again, we do have this tornado warning that is out right now for two counties, the southern portion of Elkhart County and kind of the northern half here of Kosciuszko County for about another 22 minutes here. This technically goes out until 5 p.m. Eastern time, and First Alert weather time right now about 2 minutes shy of 4 p.m. So we're going to stay with you until this tornado warning, until this severe weather threat is completely done in Michiana. And what I'm looking at right now is kind of the storm rotation, if you will. I'm still not seeing anything that screams that there is a tornado on the ground. There's been no confirmation of a tornado on the ground. But whenever you have a line coming on through, you do have to watch for some tiny circulations that could pop up and briefly spin up a quick moving tornado. And if there was a funnel cloud, a wall cloud, or even the possibility of a brief tornado, you would not be able to see it coming due to the fact that we've got some blinding rain moving on through Michiana. back to first alert weather radar. We're going to kind of widen this out for you. I typically don't like to jump around the radar too much on you, but I do want to highlight that we do have this line moving on through right now, right along and now east of US 31, with the worst of the storm right now centered along and south of the US 20 bypass down towards Warsaw, just now east of Napanee, over towards Milford and the New Paris area. I want to check out a live first alert to weather camera right now over into downtown Elkhart, where the rain has arrived. The loud storms have arrived. Thankfully, right now up in the downtown Elkhart, I'm not seeing anything that is highlighting the fact of at least wind damage. And it looks like we just got a brand new update here from the National Weather Service. Yeah, they trimmed it down here. They're going to go ahead and let it expire now for all of Kosciuszko County. So if you're hearing the sirens go off in Kosciuszko County, rest assured the tornado threat here with this tornado warning has now ended. But if you're watching us from southern Elkhart County, we're talking to you if you live along Highway 15, as well as right along portions there of 33. We're going to watch for at least some minor circulations with this line as it does continue to move its way towards the north and east. And I just want to put on a storm track here, kind of re-highlight here this polygon that has been issued for the southern portion here of Elkhart County in regards to this tornado warning, which is right now right over New Paris. If you're in New Paris right now, down towards Syracuse, you should be in your storm safety location as this storm continues to move its way towards the north and east. Putting on a track of it right now and moving it right along the polygon here. And you'll see it's in New Paris right now, right on your doorstep. Again, if you're watching us from New Paris, you shouldn't be looking outside. You should be in your safety location. A basement, storm shelter, or an interior room or closet is best as this storm moves on through. The next locations that I want you to go ahead and take shelter from over towards Benton, Indiana. That'll be headed your way in about the next 5 minutes. And right now, Millersburg over towards Ligonier. You've got about a 10-15 minute warning now to go ahead and take shelter from the most dangerous portion of this storm, where there could be some wind in excess of 60 miles per hour and the possibility of maybe a quick spin up tornado moving through. So again, if you're in New Paris right now, the storm is right over you right now. Benton, Millersburg, Ligonier, you're the next in line for this tornado warning that is radar indicating, meaning that there has been no ground truth of this moving on in as an actual tornado, but rather enough for rotation every now and again on radar that the Weather Service just wants us to be extra cautious out there due to the fact that they are seeing at least some subtle signs here of some rotation as this line continues to move its way off towards the east. And regardless of any rotation here, we're going to briefly again toggle on here what we are looking at in regards to at least the wind speeds ongoing with some of these showers and thunderstorms as they continue to work their way right along US 31 between Goshen and Benton. And putting on some of these wind speeds here, I don't see anything too crazy, but you are trying to get at least a few wind gusts that are trying to pinpoint maybe some isolated gusts around 30, 40, maybe upwards of 45 miles per hour right up and down the US 33 corridor down towards Goshen, Benton. Again, if you're just south of Goshen right now, the worst of the storm is just south of downtown Goshen. Something our team is going to keep a close eye on here in first alert weather down in Benton right now, as well as over towards Millersburg, dealing with the worst of the storm as that continues to cross its way across US 31. Again, we are continuing to watch here in first alert weather for at least some signs of at least some very weak rotation. I don't see anything that screams that there is a tornado on the ground at this moment. Not saying there couldn't be one, but right now I'm just not seeing that on first alert weather radar. It looks like we have NDOT video, and I believe this is the one over towards LaPorte here of what could have briefly been a brief tornado. You can kind of see that debris there, that dust right there. And this is over into LaPorte. Jack, do we have an exact location in LaPorte County?
Yes, we do actually. I just had it up. It's US 30 and State Road 39. So this is right on the border of both counties. US 30, State Road 39.
And do we have a timestamp? I know this was a little while ago. Do we have a rough timestamp of this? probably about an hour ago is when this moved through LaPorte here. So this is not live footage right now. This is not for the tornado
20
warning.
minutes ago.
20 minutes ago, okay. So this is not from the tornado warning that is down in southern Elkhart County. This is about 20-30 minutes ago over in LaPorte County into a field. You see the traffic moving right there in INDOT, and there was at least a little bit of debris that tried to show on up right there, indicating where there likely was a tornado. The National Weather Service, they're going to be analyzing this video and this area. Thankfully, this was open into an open field. Thankfully, we're not hearing any reports of any damage over into LaPorte. There was a severe thunderstorm warning on that, but not a tornado warning. So again, back to first alert weather radar, and I want to continue to highlight here, if we can widen this map out here and really hone in here on what we're seeing on radar. The storms are clear now, at least the severe portion of the storms along and west of US 31. If you're watching us from South Bend, Plymouth, Rochester, Fulton, Winnemac, Knox, over towards LaPorte, Michigan City, Niles, Buchanan. The worst of these storms are now clear of your area. Just some plain old regular scattered showers and thunderstorms with some heavy rainfall. The worst of these storms right now are back up towards St. Joe, Stevensville, Berrien Springs, Dowagiac, Cass, Edwardsburg, Simonton Lake, Elkhart, Goshen, down towards Syracuse, and right over into Warsaw. So this is the line right here what that is producing with it some isolated damaging wind gust and an isolated tornado threat. Now what this will do is gradually move its way out to Michiana and continuing to work its way towards the north and east. Once this line moves through your location, you are free from any severe weather, but we will continue to have some scattered showers and thunderstorms still continuing through on the back side of this as it continues to move on in. It looks like, do we have another video to showcase it all? Or Jack, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, I don't think we have another video in. We did get a new warning. That being said, it's for a little bit of outside of our viewing area. So let's go ahead and show that here. Oh, we got Andrew's radar in. So let me toggle on there.
As you're doing that, I just want to mention, I just get a text from Buddy Kursitz, Al Kursitz. For those of you from our area, you know the name well. He's with St. Joseph County Emergency Management. He says he is hearing the same thing that he is hearing from you guys. In fact, he's watching us as we speak. He says that he is hearing of trees down in Granger, possible tree on a vehicle at Ash Road. I have the specific address, which I'll give offline, but not too far from Discovery School, middle school, that would be. So,
Josh, this is in Granger?
This would be near Granger.
Right. Yeah, this is the area, again, Jack and Josh, that got hammered last night where a strong thunderstorm just hit right over that area over into Granger. See Jack there moving around the radar for us. So likely yesterday's storms help weaken some of those trees and some of those rotted out trees and some of those branches. So as the storm moved on through, even though we weren't really seeing anything that was really screaming of 60 or higher wind gust, likely even a 40-mile-per-hour wind gust, caused at least some of that isolated damage right now over towards Granger, up towards Edwardsburg, along with another round of some very heavy rainfall for these locations. In fact, last night I was hearing of several folks, unfortunately, dealing with basement flooding in Granger over towards Edwardsburg, and now another round of some very heavy rainfall moving on into those communities. Jack, I know we cut you a little bit short there. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, we did have that brand new warning. That being said, it's to the south, going to be impacting portions of Kosciuszko County going towards Columbia City as well. Take a look at this. This was just brought in here. Here's our power outages, and a lot of folks are reporting on not having power tonight. Excuse me there. St. Joe County, we have a little over 1,600, and Marshall County, thankfully, they're only just shy there of 400 customers without power. I'm very curious to see when we get the Kosciuszko County count up there, because unfortunately I do think that is going to be the highest impacted county that we see across the area. That's just where that strongest bit of the storm is, where we're seeing the stronger winds, and also where we're getting in a good amount of tree damage down on the roads. Back to our radar image, there's going to be the newest update that we've gotten in here to first alert weather. We do have that brand new severe thunderstorm warning going out towards Columbia City, going out towards Fort Wayne, which I understand is out of our viewing area. Just letting those folks know, letting you guys know, if you have any friends or family down there, to just let your loved ones know that there's going to be a stronger thunderstorm down there. And Andrew, I'm so happy to see this. there's no purple showing up on this map. That tornado warning.
No tornado warning. It looks like that was allowed to briefly just expire right now on First Alert weather. We're checking our WNDU Facebook page, as long as my Facebook page, Andrew Whitmire and Jack Van Meter. Right now, I'm not seeing much in the way of damage photos once those severe storms pass through the US 31 corridor. Not seeing much, but our team's going to continue to analyze that very closely to try to figure out where the hardest hit areas were, unfortunately, across Michiana. Right now, though, the good news, at least from what I have been saying, most of the damage is more isolated than widespread, which is what we were saying yesterday on 16 News Now, that these storms would likely produce either isolated or scattered damage, not widespread. So that's some good news there, even though unfortunately we are starting to get at least dozens of reports, I would say right now, of at least isolated to scattered damage here across Michiana. Want to hone on in where we got some very heavy rainfall moving through southwestern Michigan, Cass to Wajack, up towards Berrien Springs, St. Joe, Benton Harbor, about ready to enter into a water leak, Coloma, Michigan there, of some very heavy rainfall. Not seeing anything that looks too alarming there. Maybe a quick gust of wind that could be around 40, maybe 45 miles per hour. The strongest portion of this storm is now exiting Michiana right now, down around Syracuse, down around Goshen right now, about ready to impact over towards the Ligonier area. If you are watching us, though, right now, over towards Topeka, Shipshewana, Middlebury, over towards LaGrange, you're going to be the next to get kind of the worst part here of this line of showers and thunderstorms, where there could briefly be a quick gust of wind, 50 to 60, maybe upwards of 70 miles per hour. And I do want to take a look here at the wind speeds here. And we're going to go ahead and zoom on in here on First Alert weather radar here. We're now across the eastern portion of Elkhart County and the southwestern portion of LaGrange County. And the radar is trying to pinpoint maybe a few isolated wind gusts that still could be in excess of 60 miles per hour just south of US 20, just south of Middlebury, and just west of Indiana 5 as this continues to move its way towards the north and east. You can see the radar map there kind of updating as I speak. The brighter the color is, the likely stronger the wind speed is going on through. So right along Indiana 5 right now near Topeka, I would say at least plan for a gust of wind around 60, 65 miles per hour as that continues to move its way towards your location, and even up towards Shipshewana over towards LaGrange. Plan for at least a quick gust of wind to 50 to 60 miles per hour. Jack, I'm seeing my computer ding over here. Yep. Looks like I've got a few more storm damage reports to talk about. Yeah, we got a wind gust that was reported in from Marshall County, Indiana, right around 62 miles an hour. So, I mean, that is moving. That is within severe weather criteria, right around 58, 59 degrees. That's when the National Weather Service will go ahead and issue a severe thunderstorm warning for wind speed. And we do have another one. We do have some more down power lines between Tippecanoe and Meltone. That was, let me see if I can find a time on here. I don't know if it'll give me an exact time. No, it's just time estimated by radar. Oh, a little bit after 4:50 that came down there. So again, a lot of gusty conditions. And yeah, there you go. There's a storm Jack,
reports.
I'm popping these up for you, and you can just see kind of these storm reports here coming on in here to First Alert weather over the past several minutes as these showers and thunderstorms continue to move east.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing. Kind of where the strongest bit of that storm was. That's where we're seeing a lot of the wind damage. We're going to be seeing the tree damage that's kind of on the house there by that the little icon there, and also seeing just really gusty reports there. That's going to be the one down there in Marshall County where they saw right around 62 mile an hour wind gusts. And going back up to the north, we were talking about some of the reports we've heard out in Granger of some trees down and power outages up there. Also seeing heavy rain, some even small hail, and unfortunately it looks like some tree damage right there in Granger. Quite the picture we're seeing and quite the radar image. The good news is a lot of the storm is out of our viewing area, which is very nice. These storms have been going very, very quickly moving. I think our latest update was right around 50, maybe even 60 miles an hour. So once they came through, they're going to leave just as fast. And our last county we just have to monitor very closely is going to be LaGrange County and and St. Joe County, Michigan, for this large leading edge, this kind of bowing segment of the storm that is moving through. Still quite a bit of lightning associated. There you go. Thank you, Andrew, for drawing that leading edge. They're going to be moving towards the east there. It's going to be Sturgis and LaGrange that are next up for this very windy, but more importantly, very loud portion of the storm. Josh, you have something for us?
Yes, I do. Really quickly, guys, I want to just bring up a full screen of the outages that we know of
There's
right
Kosciuszko.
now. The big one coming up out of Kosciuszko County from that county's REMC, 3,008 people without power right now. That's the most in our viewing area. LaPorte, I can imagine, is going to only go up. And unfortunately, we're hearing about, again, Granger and that bullseye, again, a double whammy in the last 24 hours for Granger. With the storm reports that are coming in that we're hearing about, we've not gotten eyes on that just yet. But guys, you guys talked about it. Those winds were strong. No tornadoes that we know of confirmed, but the winds themselves damaging, to say the least.
Yeah, now you're just getting a gust of wind right now, at least a thunderstorm report here back around 4:42. So about almost 20 minutes ago at this point, 10 minutes ago, of a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust over into Elkhart. Bobby, I don't know if you can for me, but if we could re-rack that video that we had sent on in from NDOT of a potential tornado. This was over in LaPorte County as these storms first came on in, and the Weather Service is going to watch this very closely. It's either a tornado or a brief, strong gust of wind that carried that dust through that field. My guess is right now there is probably at least a low circulation, a tornado, if you will, that briefly touched down into this open field. Again, this is over into LaPorte County. So something the National Weather Service is going to take a closer look at. And here in First Alert Weather, we'll keep you updated the moment if this was or was not believed to be a tornado. But just looking at the video, certainly some telling signs that there likely was at least some circulation that did reach towards that field. Again, this taken over into LaPorte County. You kind of see that a little bit of debris being picked up right there. So likely an indication that there likely was some sort of contact with the ground. So something we're going to keep a very close eye on here in First Alert Weather, as again the National Weather Service is going to be surveying that very closely. Josh, you've got something to say?
Yes, I do. LaPorte County Sheriff's Office just put out something. You guys talked about this earlier. Now we're getting some specific details. US 421 and Wanata Road. So US 421, major thoroughfare there, that is now closed. This is between US 30 and 1350 South. We're talking US 421 and LaPorte County. Again, they're talking about a lot of power lines, utility lines falling across the highway. Several utility poles were damaged as well. They said expect that to be closed, especially during the rush hour, for quite some time.
And again, it's not just due to likely the strong wind, anywhere from 40 to 70 miles per hour, but also the very, very heavy rainfall falling in buckets, if you will, and that's going to continue to go across to Michiana. We'll see how this map just kind of analyzes what radar is estimating for rainfall. The brighter the colors, the more intense rainfall. And First Alert Weather Radar is trying to highlight a good chunk of Michiana picking up around an inch of rainfall in a very narrow area down into around Knox and around Bass Lake, North Judson area, where the radar is trying to pinpoint maybe an isolated estimated rainfall rate there that could be in excess of 3 inches. So quite the heavy rainfall that likely fell around North Judson, Bass Lake, over towards Knox and over towards Plymouth as these showers and thunderstorms move through those locations. I want to get us up to speed, though, on where we are at here in regards to severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings. And on this map here, I'm not seeing any purple showing on up, no tornado warnings for Michiana. We're in constant contact with the National Weather Service, and there is no new mention of any tornado warnings. So that's the good news there. However, we still have this intense portion of the storm under a severe thunderstorm warning. It's now clear of Warsaw and clear of Syracuse, but the worst portion of this storm right now is right up and down Indiana 13, just south of Middlebury, just south of Sipshewana along US 20 over towards Topeka, likely dealing with some very heavy rainfall, lots of lightning. as well as some damage out there in regards to wind speeds. And we're going to take a closer look here at some of these wind speeds here based on First Alert weather radar. And it's still trying to highlight that there could be a few wind gusts isolated in here that could be around 30, maybe up to around 40 miles per hour. Not seeing much in the way of anything that screams 60, 65 miles per hour. But certainly the radar map, though, is really highlighting a very narrow band of intense rainfall right now, right around Middlebury, just south of Sipshewana along US 20, and quite the lightning show ongoing as well. Jack, you got any new information for us?